So now we will move to inferential statistics. So I'll basically not cover much complex things. So I'll just tell you how you can, like, given some problem for any MCQ kind of exams. If you are given a Python console, how you can find the answers to those questions using that Python console. That way only I have structured these examples. So we'll go through one by one. So discrete binomial distributions and continuous normal distributions. That is the ones I have considered because that is what we have learned in our course. So both those things, how we can implement in a Python console, I will show. So for binomial distribution, you have to use what is called a binom library, binom this thing which is available in scipy.stats module. So as usual, similar to import pandas as PD, you have to import binom. Then binomial distribution, we know that it is characterized by an n and p, where n is the number of trials and p is the probability of success in any one trial, right? So if you see a dice example, I throw a die 6 times. The probability of each time getting a 1 is like what, 1 by 6, right? So that will be my n and p. So here I have considered an example where n is 6 and p is 0.6. We learned that probability of any one value occurring is called a probability mass function. So let's see what is the probability of a value 1 occurring. Probability of a success value of 1 out of the 6 tries. So out of 6 tries, 1 try. This is what from the equation that we learned, NCR into P raised to R into Q raised to N minus R. So that value, instead of like I can computing manually, I can directly call this function that will give me the value of NCR P raised to R Q raised to N minus R. And similarly, suppose I want the cumulative distribution function till 1. That is the probability of 0 success plus the probability of 1 success. If I want, I can sum those two. So you can verify this also. I will just print the 0 probability corresponding to 0 also. The probability of 0 successes out of n tries is 0.04. This is 0.368. And if you the cumulative frequency, if you consider, that will be 0.04, which is sum of these two, right? 368 plus 0.004, that will give you 0.004, right? Okay, now coming to next thing that we want for a binomial distribution is mean and standard variance. So we know that mean for a given n and p, the mean of the distribution is n into p, that's expectation value of x, and the variance we will be having as n into p into q, where q is 1 minus p. So that I can simply compute using a symbol called to mean variance equal to, I will get a tuple, that's why I put a mean comma variance. I just have to call binom.stats n comma p. So without doing this np and pq business, just by passing n and p, I'll directly get the mean and variance. So you can check also. Mean I got as 3.599. Here n is 6 and p is 0.6. So n into p is 3.6. So this thing almost that, right? So n into p into q, 6 into 0.6 into 0.4. That is 3.6 into 0.4. That is 1.44, right? So this thing in this example, it is simple to calculate by multiplication also. But in a more complex example, this thing will be better to compute it using our Python console. Then suppose I want to generate my probability values for different values so far. Like we saw that the equation is NCR into P raised to R Q raised to N minus R. So I want it for a different R values. I want to find it. So I can whatever I can do is I can just put it in a list whatever R values I want. So I put values from 0 to 5, 0 to 6, right? So I'll just print my R values. So that will have values from 0 to 6. Then I am using the same binomial.pmf and list comprehension. I am printing values. I'll just move this to another cell for more better clarity. So I am just computing the probability mass function corresponding to all these values, and let's print it also. So I got the values corresponding to 0 success, 1 success, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 success. Okay. So correspond to each success value that NCR P raised to R, Q raised to N minus R values I found out. Then I can print it in a table format. So corresponding to each R, what's the probability of the corresponding event? So I can, instead of like multiplying, find the combination of each thing and without by hearting the formula, using this direct binom.pmf function. In your problem, we will be given like this only, right? We will be given N and P, and we will be asked to find the probability mass function corresponding to some value of R. So we can directly, with this simple code binom.pm of R and P, we will be given R and P in our question. So we can directly find out binomial. Now let's move to standard normal distribution. So standard normal distribution, I hope you guys remember. It is something like this, right? This is normal distribution where we will have center at mu. Then within 1 sigma, all 68.27% of points will lie. Within 2 sigma, 95.45% of points will lie. And within 3 sigma, 99.73 will be lying. So basically, and any given normal distribution, we can convert to a standard normal distribution using centering and scaling as given by x minus mu by sigma. So we will not be covering that. I will be just going to how you can use the standard normal distribution to find our probability values. So similarly here, similar to PMF in discrete case, we have PDF here, probability distribution function. So PDF of any value, if I want in a particular question, I can directly call it using stats.norm.pmf. And cumulative distribution function, I can directly find using CDF call. So as you can see, what is a CDF, right? We already covered this. I will just tell once again. So CDF, suppose you consider this point, then CDF means that the sum of probabilities of all values which are less than this. So it will cover this entire area. If you want the CDF at this point, that will cover this full area. If you want the CDF for the middle point, that will be 0.5, right? Since the curve is perfectly symmetrical. So I don't want any particular table to tell me that. If I want the CDF at this point, that will be the area to the left of this, covering all this area. If I want at 2 sigma point, then similarly the value will be left of all this. So any point, the cumulative distribution function will give me the value of all entries or area of the full normal distribution curve, which is to the left of that. So if I want to find the area of the curve, which is to the left of 1, I will get it as 0.841. So yeah, so let's that is one way, right? So and when we discussed about that, we saw one more thing, that given some probability value, like given 0.5, you have to find the value of x. So that way also we saw in our that inference statistics session, how to find it from the C table, right? So similar kind of things, like given a probability value, you are asked to find out the x at which that occurs. So for that, you can use what is called a PPF, probability population function. So that if you just given the same value, whatever I got as CDF output, I am passing that back. So I will get 1, right? So for given any probability, if I want to find the set value at which the cumulative probability is equal to that value, I can use the PPF function. So CDF and PPF are like, one is operating from given a set value, find the probability. PPF is operating in the reverse direction. Given a probability, find the set value corresponding to this. So these two we can use directly to answer questions that we may get in any MCQ exams. And there is something called a survival function. So that what you can think is like a survival function is given any point. We saw that CDF will give you the value to the left. Similarly, survival function is it will give you the value to the right of that. So given this point, it will give you value of this curve. Given this point, it will give you value of this curve from this point. Similarly, at this point, it will give 0.5. At this point, it will give the value of this tail. And at this point, it will give the value of. So CDF and plus survival function, if you give, that will always be 1. So it will basically, you can think like this. CDF will give you the, given a point, CDF will give you values to the left of that area, and survival function will give you the area to the right of that point. So if I run that for again 1, I'll get, if you can see, 0.15. So 0.85 plus 0.15, I'll get 1, right? So CDF and survival function will be like mapping two regions of the normal curve to the left and right of a particular set value that I am considering. Now suppose questions can come like I want to find the probability between two set values. Suppose I am asked to find the probability of the set value being between this sigma and sigma, or between 2 sigma and minus sigma. So this is straightforward, right? 68.27 I can know, 95.45 I know, 99.73 I know. Suppose I am asked to find out what is the probability between sigma and minus 2 sigma. Then I have to do like what, 68.27 by 2 plus 95.43 by 2 I have to do. So those things and all, if it is these values, we can find it out some way. But suppose I am asked what is the value between 1.5 sigma and minus 3.2 sigma. So for those things and all, if I want to compute, I can use like same CDF function. I just have to like subtract give the values there. So if I want to find the probability area of the curve between 1.96 and minus 1.96, I can use the same CDF function to find that. So I'll get 95. We know that it is 95, right? Between. Okay, these values we might have remembering from our previous inferential statistics second 1.65, 645, 1.96 and 2.6. These corresponding to values where our significance level is 95%, 99%, 90%, that kind of thing. So, and if I have 3 sigma, I should get 99.7, right? So this you can use to find the area lying between any two arbitrary points in the normal curve. Then coming to estimation that we covered in the previous session, I will just give two simple examples because you can try whatever examples we tried in that session using this. So two cases here arise here. One is using set distribution and one is using t distribution. So for details you can refer to our class. So I will just consider one example. So for each case. So suppose I have a random sequence. So I am asking it to give me a random normal distribution with the values between 10 and 30, 50 points. Then I can find the confidence interval using what is called the norm dot interval. So that will give me my confidence interval. So for that, whatever values we wanted what alpha, that is our level of significance, that I will pass as 0.95. Then our x minus mu by sigma, right? So how to convert this into a normal curve? So that mu I have to pass as location, and our standard error sigma by root n, that I have to pass as st.sm data, and finally you will get values as 17 and 21. So this will be the confidence interval corresponding to 0.95% for the data which lies between 10 and 30. So if you try this, convert this into like our normal x minus mu by sigma and find out, you can see that this will be 95, right? So if you see from here, that will be like within 1.96 and minus 1.96 of sigma. So for more details, you can refer to how we solve this manually. So since we already covered, I will not go into that. You just give a focus on how you, given some question, how you can implement that using this function if it is a normal distribution. Now if we are using a t-table, the cases that we considered in the previous session where the population variance is not known, we will have to go for t distribution. So in that only we have to replace this norm by t, and I have to pass an additional argument called the degrees of freedom. So as we learned in that session, given a data of size n, the degrees of freedom will be length of the data minus 1. The location and the scale will be same as in the previous example. If we run that, I will get the confidence interval corresponding to that particular data. So these are the two things, only two things, right? That will come in confidence interval. So any question that you get from confidence interval, it will either you can map to either Z or T, and you can by learning these simple two functions, you can solve all those questions.